Welcome to the first edition of The Hive. Okay, let me tell you what we're doing here. Basically, what we're doing here is reading out real life stories of people. Okay, a while back, I had this program, the Single Moms Chronicles, where I had an opportunity to talk to some amazing women and they were willing to share their stories, even though they wanted to remain anonymous. So I'll be reading some of their stories so we could at least just learn, take something away from it at the end of the day, okay? I have a story today, and the story is about B. Help! My friend betrayed me and married my ex. Stay with me, I'll be right back. In 2019, I crossed paths with my ex-partner D and we embarked on a beautiful relationship. Originating from a modest background, I struggled to make ends meet. However, D showered me with extravagant gestures and even assisted me with some of my family's needs. Before D's arrival, I was courting with my childhood friend R. With D's presence in my life, my circumstances improved, allowing me to afford basic necessities and rely less on my friend R, who at the time held a stable job. R, known for our love for parties and fun, introduced me to D at one of such gatherings. After reveling in 2 years of happiness with D, we commenced planning our wedding, with R actively involved in the preparations and providing unwavering support. However, 3 months before the wedding, D and I engaged in a heated argument stemming from a sensitive family matter, one I do not wish to divulge. Following the altercation, we ceased communication for a week, leaving me feeling despondent and uncertain about our forthcoming marriage. To alleviate my distress, R suggested we go to the club to unwind. At the club, due to my state of mind, I indulged in excessive drinking. I woke up the next day beside a stranger in a hotel, and this is all I could remember. I screamed at him and demanded to know what was going on. He simply wore his clothes and walked out on me. I did not want to make a scene so as not to draw any attention to myself. I cried all the way home. When I got home, I asked R about the events of the previous night, and she explained that I had insisted on remaining behind, and she was too tired to wait. I couldn't divulge the true sequence of events, so I decided to keep it a secret. Fortunately, D and I reconciled over the weekend and I felt relieved to have my life back on track. R was equally excited for us. We resumed the preparation for our forthcoming wedding. However, a month later, I received the shock of my life when D abruptly walked out of the wedding, despite the earnest pleas and efforts of family, friends, and even R. At this time, I was already 2 months pregnant. I even tried playing the guilt game on him so he could at least go on with the marriage because of the pregnancy. This response to me was, "You're a big girl, figure it out." D remained resolute in his decision to end our relationship. Left with no other choice, I decided to move on. 5 months later, at this moment, I was already 7 months pregnant. Hara's behavior took an unexpected turn. After accommodating me for 4 years and extending considerable support, she expressed a need for privacy and suggested that I find an alternative accommodation. She even assisted me financially to help me settle into my new home. At the time, I had a business which D had financed, but I wasn't too serious about it because D took care of most of my needs. I began focusing more on my business because I needed more funds for my child and I. That year was a dark period for me through the childbirth and nursing my daughter, and also concentrating my energy on my business. I wonder how I pulled through till today. A year after I moved out of Hara's place, I attended a party where I encountered a familiar face who couldn't stop staring at me. I also couldn't place his identity, but there was something familiar about him. Eventually, he approached me and was reeking of alcohol. To cut the long story short, he introduced himself as the stranger that I woke up next to a year ago. And that same night, I discovered that R had paid him to drug me and rape me. He said R told him I snatched her boyfriend and she needed to teach me a lesson. A complete lie. I also found that he had been paid to take nude pictures of me. Something snapped within me and I began to do my calculations. Firstly, D started acting up a few weeks after the incident. Now, I suddenly find out there's a picture. My mind began imagining things, but I was too scared to admit in my imaginations. I decided to investigate the matter. At this point, R and I were no longer in contact because right after I left, R blocked me off all our social media platforms. Same with D. Upon investigation, I found out D and R were now living together as a couple. Obviously, D must have seen the pictures I wasn't aware existed. I know where they live, but I'm unsure of how to confront them. What can I do? When I got this story, because some of them I couldn't have that one-on-one interview session with them, so I asked them to send in their stories, and this was one of such stories that I got. I mean, this one just stood out for me in so many ways because I had so many questions just coming to my mind. I had to jot them down. Okay, one of the questions I had was our friend envious of a relationship and she wasn't aware? Because this is obvious. It's obvious that her friend probably always liked D all along and wished she was the one D was dating and not her. Maybe because of the way D was responsible towards her. Because women like it when men are responsible. She introduced D to the lady. Did she have a prior relationship with D that we are unaware of? There are just so many questions to be answered, and I really, if you ask me, in my opinion, I think that she should have a sit down talk, both of them. I mean, they need to explain to her. She deserves some form of explanation. I'll leave it to you guys to just drop your comments and tell me what you think about this. Now, the second question that came to my mind is, why won't D confront her with whatever info he had when he was having doubts about them? Or perhaps maybe when he saw the pictures, the nude pictures, why didn't he confront her? Why broke off the relationship with no reason whatsoever? Everyone kept pleading, everyone kept begging. I mean, this lady's pregnant for God's sake, And if I look at the timing, they got married 3 months. The whole thing happened, the sex scenario or the rape scene happened 3 months to the wedding. And now then, just a few weeks to the wedding, she found out that she's pregnant. So I want to believe that that child is actually for D and not for the stranger. And I don't think the stranger would be so dumb to be given a rape assignment and then want to impregnate the person in the process. I don't know. I mean, a DNA test can be conducted to, give us an answer to that. But I mean, she deserves to know that a certain thing, and you also deserve to have an answer to why she had done whatever it is that she did. Okay, now this question, yes, I always have this question when I hear that somebody leaves or someone left his partner or a partner for the best friend. Why the best friend? Really? No, there wasn't any other person except R. I feel like there's more to R and this relationship than we know or than we've been told in this story. I feel like there's more to it, and that's one of the reasons why I think that she should have a sit down with them to discuss this. They need to tell her what was going on before she met D, or what's going on right now, or what transpired. I mean, there's just something funny about this whole setup, this whole relationship thing. And then the last question that came to my mind is, why didn't she tell R and D about what happened that night? We always talk about trust in relationships, and I know that she was scared, to walk up to her fiancé that they had just resolved a long-standing fight, and then she says, okay baby, when we had issues, I went to the club, I drank, and then woke up the next day to someone I did not even know how it happened. It just happened. I mean, the story sounds funny, I know, right? Maybe she should have told the guy too. You see, this thing called trust and telling people the truth about the things that you've experienced in life sometimes can be a bit dicey. But I mean, in a situation like this, I think she should have. I want to think about it. What eventually happened? She didn't tell the guy about the story. She didn't tell her about the story. She ended up losing the guy. So I would say, why not just say it and see what happens? Because eventually the truth probably would have come out. Who knows if R wasn't even involved in this whole thing and something funny like that just happened. I mean, we see guys, we hear of stories of guys who do stuff like that. And then that party she had attended with, say, D, and then this guy sees both of them and says, oh, and then shows him the picture, then it will be too late for you to start explaining. So I mean, I think that's where the subject of trust comes in when we're talking about relationship. Leave him to decide, leave him to make up his mind on if he wants to stay or if he wants to go. Don't want to postpone the evil day. All right, so that's it on the hive. If you have such stories that you have experienced, or you know someone who has experienced, and you're willing to share, please send a mail to devscannerng@gmail.com. Don't worry, your story is safe with us. We'll just read the story and keep it anonymous, okay? All right, so till next time on the hive, my name is Omi. I love you. Stay blessed. Bye.